Hey Ravens, so if you're watching this video, my expectation is that you have already chosen your story or your narrative idea. You took your two story ideas that you mapped out and you decided which story has the clearest lesson or theme. So you're actually ready to start mapping out the beginning, the middle, and the end of your story. So in this lesson, you're going to learn how to plan out a story that has a clear beginning, middle, and end. And you're going to do it on this plot map that you glued into your composition notebook. So let's get rolling. The narrative idea that I chose was the pancake one. I felt like that had the clearest lesson or theme. Remember, the lesson or theme was that she learns that sometimes it's okay not to be perfect. So I have a couple of things all ready for my plot map. So first, I have my climax. So remember, my climax is actually what I generated from the list. This is the moment when my conflict is the most intense. And my climax is when she spills the plate of pancakes covered in maple syrup all over the customers. My conflict I also have, and I'm going to put that conflict down here because this is the actual conflict or problem in the story, not the moment where the conflict starts. So my conflict or problem, remember, is that the restaurant is crazy busy and she's the only waitress there and she's trying to be perfect. I also have my theme. This is my lesson that she learns. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your lesson and you're going to change it into the theme statement. So my lesson is she learns that sometimes it's okay not to be perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this into a theme statement. So I'm going to say, just sometimes it's okay not to be perfect. Because remember that a theme should be able to be applied to any story. So sometimes it's okay not to be perfect. It's a great lesson or theme. So what I'm going to ask for you to do right now is I'm going to ask for you to go to pause the video. To go to take the things that you already have, your climax, your conflict, and your theme, and to write them on your plot map. Remember, those should already be on your brainstormed list. My climax, my conflict, and my theme. Okay. So hopefully your plot map looks something like this. You have these 3 boxes already filled in. So the next step is starting at the beginning, my exposition. My exposition is the beginning of the story. This is where I'm going to introduce my setting, the location or the place of my story, and my characters. So my setting is going to be a pancake restaurant. My whole story is going to take place in a pancake restaurant. I want to make sure that when you think about your story, because we are writing a small moment narrative, your story should only have one setting. It shouldn't change settings, so make sure that that's true. My characters are going to be my waitress, my customers, and the cook. So here's the most important part. The moment when the conflict starts. This is going to be the moment that creates the conflict. So if my conflict is that the restaurant is crazy busy and she's the only waitress there, she's trying to be perfect, I need to think about something that's going to make it so that she's the only waitress there and that the restaurant is crazy busy. So I'm going to say that my moment that starts all the conflict is that she gets a call from the second waitress that she's stuck in traffic. So she's the only waitress there. I'm creating a reason for her to be the only waitress there. So I'm going to ask for you right now to pause the video and to go and see if you can decide what's the setting, who are your characters, and what is the moment that starts the conflict. So at this point, Ravens, your plot map should look just like mine. You should have all of these boxes filled in. So let's work on our rising action at this point. Your rising action are the events that are going to build tension or excitement as we get to the climax. So the first moment that I felt like was going to build tension or excitement, and they should get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Until it like explodes and everything goes wrong. So my first moment that I was thinking was, just as it's starting to get busy, a tour bus arrives. So let's make it even crazier in the restaurant. Okay? My next moment maybe is that they run out of coffee and she's trying to make more while taking orders and bringing food. So I wanted to create that moment where everything's happening at once and she's trying to do it all. And then my last moment maybe is that she reminds herself that she can do this. She has this moment where she's like, I can do this. I am perfect, right? And I am totally in control, right? We know she's not, but she's going to say, I'm totally in control. And just at that moment, a customer gets angry and yells at her. So then my climax, remember? The moment where the conflict is the most intense, the rising action has been building to this moment, is when she brings out a plate of pancakes and she spills it. It crashes on top of a customer and maple syrup goes oozing down his head. I want you to pause the video at this point, go back, and see if you can come up with 3 events that build tension or excitement as you move towards the climax. Okay, Ravens. Now for the following action. This is where the reader's heartbeat should start to slow down a little bit. Things are starting to get resolved, right? Things are starting to get cleaned up. Nothing more should go wrong at this point. Right after the climax, nothing more should go wrong. So my following action is that the second waitress arrives and finds her crying on the floor. The second waitress helps her clean up, and people start to leave the restaurant. It's starting to die down. It's starting to get less busy. And then my resolution is going to be where the conflict or the problem is resolved, and really important, where the character learns the lesson. So you need to make sure that in your resolution, the character actually learns this lesson. So if my lesson is that sometimes it's okay not to be perfect, maybe my resolution is maybe the other waitress says to her, right? Maybe she's still crying and the other waitress says to her, like, Lori, you're only one person. Sometimes you can't be perfect, right? The character is going to learn this lesson, and maybe they enjoy, the restaurant has been closed at this point. Maybe they sit there and they enjoy some pancakes together. So your job right now is to go back and to see if you can fill in your following action and resolution. Before you ever get started writing, you need to have all of these boxes filled in. Have fun!